The stars shone brighter than ever before. It had been 1 year since Mira Hale's message echoed through the galaxy. The memory of her calm voice still lingered in the hearts of millions. From the richest worlds to the smallest moons, her name had become a symbol of peace, and the world that once stood alone, Earth, was now the heart of a new era. The coalition of free worlds in the vast city of New Geneva, the newly built coalition tower rose higher than any building before it. It was made of transparent alloy, shining like crystal under the morning sun. Inside, leaders from over 100 species gathered for the first full session of the coalition of free worlds. The flags of alien nations lined the great hall, yet at the center flew one banner, a circle of stars surrounding a small blue flame. That flame represented Earth. Commander Reed stood beside General Mason, watching the delegates take their seats. There was tension, but there was also hope. Old enemies now sat side by side, their translators humming softly. Mason turned to Reed. "It feels strange," he said quietly. "Not long ago we fought to be heard. Now they all look to us for guidance," Reed nodded. "Then we must speak carefully. Strength brought us here. Wisdom must keep us here." The hall fell silent as the session began. A silver-skinned speaker from Valora Prime stepped forward. "On behalf of our people," she said, "we thank humanity. Where the old council ruled through fear, you showed mercy. You reminded us what justice means." The delegates applauded. Reed bowed his head slightly. He did not feel like a conqueror. He felt like a guardian of something fragile and precious. Trust. Rebuilding the galaxy in the months that followed, ships from the coalition traveled across the stars carrying food, medicine, and knowledge. Destroyed cities on distant planets were rebuilt. Refugees from the wars found homes again. Where the council's banners had once cast shadows, now stood new schools, libraries, and gardens. Earth sent engineers to help other worlds repair their skies. Alien doctors came to Earth to share medical science never seen before. For the first time in history, technology and compassion moved together. At the orbital shipyard above Earth, the Guardians of Dawn fleet expanded. These ships were not made for battle, but for exploration and rescue. Each carried a small emblem of Mira Hale etched on its hull, a promise that every journey would honor her memory. One evening, as the fleet prepared for launch, children from every continent gathered at the observation decks to watch. They cheered as the ships rose slowly into the sky, their engines glowing soft blue against the clouds. Their laughter echoed through the night. It was the sound of a new beginning. Voices of peace in the distant planet Nerath, an alien scholar, stood before his students. He played the recording of Mira's words. The young ones listened in silence, their eyes wide. The scholar said, "This is the voice that ended an empire. It spoke of peace, not power. Remember this when you speak to others." In the frozen colonies of Europa, miners named new tunnels after Mira. On Mars, artists carved her statue into red stone. On Titan, children built models of the first human fleet from ice crystals. Even on Valora Prime, once the heart of oppression, people lit candles at the old council hall each year. The building had been turned into a memorial garden. Tyrene often walked there at dusk, speaking softly to visitors about what he had witnessed. He would tell them, "The humans did not destroy us. They awakened us. We had forgotten what honor means." A message to the stars in orbit. Commander Reed stood on the deck of the Erebus, now refitted for exploration. He looked out at the endless field of stars. A young communications officer approached him. "Sir, the long-range array is ready. Shall we begin transmission?" Reed nodded. "Send it." The signal spread across the galaxy and beyond known space. It carried a simple message in hundreds of languages. "To any who hear this, you are not alone. The Coalition of Free Worlds stands for peace and understanding. We welcome friendship, not control." The transmission reached far systems that had never heard of Earth. Some answered, some simply listened, but all understood the tone. It was calm, steady, and human. The memorial of light in Earth's northern continent, the memorial of light, was completed. It was a vast crystal dome built on a cliff overlooking the sea. Inside, beams of sunlight passed through mirrors, forming a pattern that looked like 1,000 stars. At the center, Mira Hale's name was written in every known language. On the day of its opening, people from across the galaxy came to honor her. Delegates from alien worlds laid flowers, stones, and symbols of peace. Children sang softly, No speeches were needed. The silence spoke louder than any word. General Mason stood beside the monument, his old uniform shining with silver trim. He placed a small earth flag beside the crystal and whispered, "You changed everything." Reed joined him. "She gave us purpose," he said. "Now we must live worthy of it." The new explorers. Months later, the Guardians of Dawn fleet prepared for their first intergalactic voyage beyond mapped space. Crowds filled the launch platforms. Flags waved in every color. The fleet's mission was simple: to explore, to learn, and to protect. Commander Reed stood at the head of the ceremony. "Today," he said, "we do not send soldiers. We send explorers. We will not carry fear into the stars. We will carry hope." Applause spread through the crowd. Families waved as the massive ships lifted off one by one. From orbit, they looked like lines of silver light stretching toward the unknown. In the control room, an officer turned to Reed. "Sir, destination coordinates set. Would you like to name the route?" Reed smiled faintly. "Call it Mira's Path." Across the unknown, as the fleet moved beyond known sectors, they discovered new worlds, some empty, some filled with strange beauty. They made contact with species who had never heard of the Galactic Council or Earth. They offered friendship first, technology second. Everywhere they went, they built beacons of peace rather than fortresses. News of these missions inspired more volunteers to join. Engineers, scientists, teachers, and healers from dozens of planets signed up. The human idea of unity spread far beyond Earth. The stars that once felt distant now felt like home. Reflections. Back on Earth, General Mason grew older. He often visited the sea cliffs near the Memorial of Light. One evening, he met a group of children studying the stars. They were building small drones shaped like birds to explore the atmosphere. "General," one of them asked, "do you think humans will ever fight again?" Mason looked at the horizon for a long moment. "The galaxy is large," he said slowly. "There will always be challenges. But we have learned that courage does not come from war. It comes from choosing peace even when it's hard." The children nodded, writing his words down. They promised to remember. Valora Prime reborn years later. Valora Prime became a symbol of transformation. Its shining towers no longer served rulers. They served students and scientists. Its skies, once filled with patrol ships, were now open to all travelers. A great university stood where the council hall had been. Its entrance bore a single inscription carved in stone. "Truth is the voice that frees us all." Delegate Terrene became the first chancellor of the University of Unity. He often taught history himself. At the end of each lecture, he told his students, "When you study peace, remember Mira Hale. She was one life, yet her courage changed 1,000 worlds." Earth's promise on the 10th anniversary of the Coalition. A grand ceremony was held in orbit above Earth. Hundreds of ships gathered, representing every world that had joined the Alliance. Together they formed a ring around the planet, a shield of peace. From the bridge of the Erebus, Commander Reed watched the sight in silence. Beside him stood the next generation of officers, younger, hopeful, and ready. "Humanity was once alone," Reed said quietly. "Now we stand with many. That is our victory." The fleet's communication officer smiled. "Shall I send the anniversary broadcast, sir?" Reed nodded. "Begin transmission." Across the stars, the message reached every colony and station. "This is Earth. 10 years ago, one voice reminded us of who we could be. We are still listening. We are still learning. And together we will keep the peace." The message ended with a symbol, a blue flame surrounded by a circle of stars. Billions saw it and smiled. The final light. That night, as Earth rotated beneath the glowing ring of ships, the Memorial of Light opened once more. Crowds gathered below. The crystal dome glowed brighter than before, sending a beam of white light straight into the sky. It joined with the lights of the fleet above, forming a single column that reached beyond the atmosphere. It was visible from space and from the farthest colony on Mars. Children pointed upward. Old veterans saluted. The light became a new beacon, the flame of Mira, a reminder that peace must never fade. General Mason stood quietly beside Commander Reed, both men older now but still strong. Mason said softly, "We once fought to be seen. Now we shine so others may see." Reed nodded. "And the stars are listening." They looked to the heavens where the Guardians of Dawn continued their journey. carrying humanity's promise to every corner of the galaxy. And so ended the chapter that began with tragedy and ended with unity. The name of Mira Hale lived on, carried not by weapons but by hearts that refused to forget. The galaxy no longer feared Earth. It trusted it. In every tongue and every world the same saying was spoken. When darkness falls, look toward Earth. That is where the light begins. The bridge of Valerian's grace remained silent long after the human transmission ended. The air felt heavy, filled with tension and disbelief. Commander Rana stood near the viewport, staring at the massive outline of the Titan-class warship. It hung in space like a silent mountain, its presence alone enough to change the balance of fear. Her first officer, Kale, finally spoke. "Commander, what are your orders? Should we retreat and contact the Council?" Rana shook her head. "No, the Council sent us to speak. We will not turn away at the first sign of strength." Kale frowned. "With respect, Commander, that is not a sign of strength. That is a declaration of power," Rana answered calmly. "Then we will answer power with patience." She turned back to the communication console. "Open a channel to the human commander. Let us try again." The operator nodded and activated the link. "This is Commander Rana of the Galactic Council. We do not wish for conflict. We ask only for dialogue." For several long seconds there was no response. Then the same human voice came through, steady and quiet. "Proceed. What do you wish to discuss?" Rana exhaled slowly. "Commander Hale, we come on behalf of the Galactic Council. We received your signal and we seek understanding. Humanity has shown great progress, and the Council would like to offer inclusion into the wider galactic community. Through trade, research, and peace we can stand united." Hale's voice was calm but distant. "The Council wishes to unite the galaxy. But tell me, Commander Rana, when the Council united Vega 9, how many lives were lost?" The words struck her like a blade. The bridge crew looked uneasy. Rana kept her tone steady. "Vega 9 was destroyed due to contagion and unrest. The records say it was necessary." "Necessary," Hale repeated. "That word hides many sins. You erased our first colony in the name of control. The Council called it containment. We called it murder." Rana lowered her head slightly. "That happened before my time, Commander Hale. I cannot speak for actions I did not take." "But your Council still hides it," Hale replied. "And now you come to us as friends, expecting we will forget what you did. Tell me, Commander, did the Council ever tell you how many survived?" "No," she admitted quietly. 23, Hale said. "Only 23 children. They were rescued by a passing freighter and brought back to Earth. Those children grew up hearing one story, that the stars do not forgive weakness." The alien crew listened in silence. Rana finally spoke. "Commander Hale, we came because we believed your people were ready to join us peacefully. We have no wish to relive your pain." Hale's reply was calm, but each word carried weight. "Pain is a teacher, Commander. We learned that peace without strength is an invitation to be erased. That is why Earth does not send diplomats first. We send guardians." The channel went silent again. Rana felt her pulse quicken. The words carried more meaning than threats. They carried conviction. Kyle stepped forward. "Commander, these humans are not seeking peace. They are warning us." Rana looked at the giant ship again. "They are warning the Council, not us. The humans do not see us as enemies yet. They see us as messengers." She took a deep breath. "Prepare the recording systems. I want this entire conversation transmitted back to Valerian. The Council must hear the truth." The ship's crew moved quickly. Data crystals hummed to life as every word and image was stored. Meanwhile, on the human side, the Resolute Dawn held steady. Inside its massive control hall, Commander Hale stood before a vast tactical display showing the alien ship's position. He looked calm, but his officers could see the tension behind his eyes. One of his lieutenants, Mara, asked carefully, "Sir, are we sure about this approach? The Council could take this as aggression." Hale folded his hands. "Then let them. The last time they approached us, they left nothing alive. This time they will understand who they are dealing with." The bridge crew continued to monitor the alien ship. Hale watched every detail. The Alarian's Grace emitted no weapon signatures, only peaceful transmissions. It was not an attack vessel, and that fact gave him pause. He finally said, "Mara, bring up the diplomatic profile of Commander Rana." A small hologram appeared beside him, showing the alien's calm face. She was younger than he expected, a soldier turned diplomat. Her record showed years of negotiation, peace treaties, and protection of weaker races. Hale studied the image. "She does not seem like a killer," he said softly. "No, sir," Mara replied. "She might not even know what the council did." Hale gave a quiet sigh. "Then she deserves the truth even if her masters do not." He sent a transmission request. Back on Alarian's Grace, Rana turned as her console beeped. "Commander Hale is calling," the operator said. "Open it." Hale's face appeared again on the display. "Commander Rana," he began, "you came here in peace, and you have remained peaceful even under our guns. For that I respect you, but you must understand what your council has done. Humanity remembers." Rana met his gaze. "Then tell me what you want the council to know." Hale spoke slowly. "We want acknowledgement. The council destroyed a world and erased our name from history. We rebuilt everything from ashes, alone. Now we have strength not to seek revenge, but to make sure no one can do that again." He paused and added, "You may record this. Let them hear our voice." Rana nodded once. "You have my word." As the conversation continued, the tension on both sides began to shift. It was no longer anger but curiosity. Both commanders wanted to understand each other. Rana realized these humans were not monsters. They were survivors. And Hale began to see that not all aliens were like the council that had wronged them. After nearly an hour of exchange, Hale ended with a simple statement. "We do not hate peace, Commander, but we will never kneel for it again." The screen went dark. On Alarian's Grace, Rana turned to her crew. "Send the full recording to the council, encrypted under Priority 1. They must see the truth about Earth." Kale looked uneasy. "Commander, what if the council reacts with fear? They might see the humans as a threat." Rana's voice was calm. "Then they will make the same mistake twice. But this time humanity will not be the victim." The data packet was launched through the interstellar relay. It would reach the council within hours. Meanwhile, the alien delegation prepared to wait. The Resolute Dawn stayed close, a silent guardian watching every move of the diplomatic vessel. Its hull reflected the light of the sun, casting long shadows through space. Inside her quarters, Rana sat alone, reviewing the conversation. Each line carried weight, each word revealing humanity's deep scar. She realized something the council would never accept easily. Humans had become a power built on loss, not greed. She recorded a personal note for the High Speaker. "Honored Council, I have spoken with Commander Hale of Earth. Their strength is not one of conquest, but protection. They are not what we believed. If we treat them as a threat, we will create one." Hours later, her ship received a signal, a new message from the council. The High Speaker himself appeared as a hologram. His expression was tight, almost nervous. "Commander Rana," he said, "your report has been received. You will remain in orbit and observe. Under no circumstance are you to provoke the humans. Reinforcements are being sent." Rana frowned. "Reinforcements?" "High Speaker, that will only escalate fear. The humans will see it as a challenge." "The decision is final," Thelon said. "Do not act further until we arrive." The hologram faded. Rana sat back, frustration building quietly in her chest. She looked at Kale. "Prepare the crew. I have a feeling our next meeting will not be diplomatic." At the same time, aboard Resolute Dawn, Hale received a report from his tactical officer. "Sir, new contacts detected. Multiple warp signatures inbound from Council space." Hale's expression hardened. "They are sending reinforcements." "Yes, sir. Warships. 8 of them." The command hall went silent. Hale stood tall, eyes fixed on the sensor display. "Then we meet them on our terms. Ready the fleet. Keep weapons cold, but shields up. We will not fire first." The crew moved quickly, knowing what this meant. Humanity had hoped for peace, but prepared for the worst. As the alien reinforcements drew closer, the Resolute Dawn expanded its defensive array. The surrounding ships of the Earth Defense Fleet moved into formation. Their pattern was precise and silent, like chess pieces set for a final move. From the distance, Commander Rana watched the scene unfold. Her voice was quiet but firm. "We came to talk, and now the galaxy will listen." The space between Earth and the alien fleet shimmered with tension. No one fired, no one moved recklessly. Every captain knew that one mistake could begin a war that might never end. The Titan-class warship's hull glowed faintly in the sunlight, and beneath that glow the heart of humanity pulsed, steady, patient and unbroken. The Council's reinforcements arrived like a storm. 8 gleaming warships broke out of hyperspace one after another, their silver hulls shining in the sunlight of Earth's orbit. Each vessel carried banners of peace, yet their size and weapon signatures told a different story. They were built for intimidation. Commander Rana watched the readings appear on her display. Her ship, Ilarian's Grace, was now surrounded by vessels from half a dozen Council species. The largest among them, Valorian Prime, was a dreadnought with enough firepower to destroy moons. Rana felt a deep unease. They should not have come armed, she said quietly. Kale looked at her with concern. You warned them. The Council never listens when fear takes hold. Before she could answer, an alert flashed across the bridge. The Resolute Dawn had begun to move. The massive Titan-class warship drifted forward, positioning itself between Earth and the newly arrived fleet. The energy around its hull rippled faintly, forming a visible distortion in space. Commander, said her science officer, their energy field is expanding. It looks like a defensive barrier. Rana stood still. They are protecting their planet. On the Resolute Dawn, Commander Hale stood on the bridge with his officers. The incoming Council ships formed a wide arc, scanning the Titan carefully. Hale's voice remained calm. Transmit on open frequency. Message to all Council vessels. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, Hale spoke clearly. This is Commander Hale of the Earth Defense Command. Your fleet has entered restricted orbit without invitation. Earth has no hostile intent, but any attempt to breach this defense perimeter will be treated as an act of aggression. His words were firm, yet controlled. There was no anger, only authority. A reply came moments later from the Valorian Prime. A deep voice echoed through the system. This is Admiral Saren of the Galactic Council. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Lower your defenses and prepare to receive inspection teams. Refusal will result in immediate intervention. Hale glanced at his officers. Outnumbered? He gave a faint smile. Perhaps in count, not in strength. He turned toward the tactical display. Activate the Titan's full array. No weapons, just the shield demonstration. A deep vibration spread through the Resolute Dawn. Every system came online in perfect sequence. From the ship's surface, rings of blue-white light expanded outward. The distortion field grew stronger, stretching far beyond the ship's visible boundary. Space around it bent slightly as if pulled by gravity itself. On the alien ship's sensors went wild. Energy readings exceeded every known limit. Rana's science officer looked alarmed. Commander, their shield output is equivalent to the power core of a small star. It is not possible. Rana watched the glowing rings swirl around the Titan. Possible or not, it is happening, and they are holding back. The Resolute Dawn did not fire. It simply stood as a wall of living power. The light from its shield reflected off the clouds of Earth, turning the planet's oceans into mirrors of blue and white. Admiral Saren's voice came again, this time less certain. Commander Hale, this level of display is unnecessary. We came to discuss peace, not to threaten. Hale answered calmly. Then keep your weapons cold, Admiral. You came with guns while pretending peace. We only show you why that was a mistake. Inside Ilarian's Grace, the crew stared in awe. No one had ever seen such control over raw energy. It was not chaos. It was art. The Titan pulsed like a heartbeat, the power stable and balanced. Rana whispered, They have turned power into language. Kyle nodded. They are not showing rage. They are showing purpose. Back aboard Valorian Prime, Admiral Saren's officers exchanged nervous glances. One of them muttered, Their ship's power curve is off our charts. If they wanted, they could destroy the entire fleet. The Admiral clenched his jaw. Enough. We will not retreat before a single world. But even as he spoke, he could not ignore the readings. The Titan-class warship was beyond anything the Council's engineers could imagine. Its shield frequency matched gravitational waves, bending sensor beams away. It was untouchable. Commander Hale opened a visual channel to all ships. His image appeared across every alien bridge. Calm eyes, steady posture, the background hum of the Titan's core filling the silence. You see the ship behind me, he said. You see what humanity built after Vega 9. We did not build it to conquer. We built it because we learned that peace is only safe when it stands on strength. This ship is not a weapon of destruction. It is a promise that what happened to us will never happen again. He gestured slightly, and the hologram beside him changed. It showed the old ruins of Vega 9, Shattered domes, frozen colonies, broken monuments. Then it showed something new. Cities rebuilt, humans and aliens living side by side under the flag of Earth. Rana watched from her bridge. She saw the images and felt a strange emotion. Sorrow mixed with respect. Hale continued. We do not demand obedience. We do not seek revenge, but the Council must understand. You cannot erase a people and expect silence. If you come in peace, we will listen. If you come with guns, we will answer. He paused. Earth does not beg for acceptance. We choose our allies and we protect those who stand beside us. When the message ended, the display went dark. No one spoke for several moments. Rana turned to her crew. Record everything. History will remember this day. On the Council fleet, tension grew. Some captains whispered about retreat, others about attack. Admiral Saren's pride fought against his fear. He opened a private channel to Alarian's Grace. Commander Rana, you are our representative. Speak to them. Perhaps they will listen to you. Rana took a deep breath. Understood, Admiral. She opened communication with Hale again. Commander Hale, she said, the Council ships are uneasy. They did not expect this show of strength. But I ask you to remember, not all who stand under the Council's flag supported Vega 9. Many of us were children when that happened. We cannot undo it, but we can start new. Hale listened carefully. You speak with honesty, Commander. That matters more than banners. He looked at his officers and gave a short nod. Lower external energy output by 20%. Let them see we are not preparing for battle. The Titan's glowing field dimmed slightly. The stars behind it became visible again. Across the Council fleet, relief spread quietly. Some captains even lowered their own weapons in response. Rana smiled faintly. Perhaps peace is still possible? Kale looked at her. Peace built on fear? Rana answered softly. Peace built on respect. Sometimes they are the same. The message was sent back to the Council. The High Speaker would see the full transmission within hours. But even before the official report, the news had already spread across the stars. In distant colonies, species who had suffered under the Council's dominance whispered about the humans. Some called them dangerous. Others called them hope. On Alarian itself, the Council members watched the broadcast in the Grand Chamber. The image of the Resolute Dawn filled the entire display wall. Its engines glowed softly, casting light across the room. High Speaker Thalen sat motionless. So they truly built it, he murmured. A ship that bends gravity itself. One ambassador from the Varn species leaned forward. If such a vessel exists, we cannot allow it to stand outside Council control. They must be brought under rule or removed before they build more. Another older delegate shook his head. Attack them and you doom us all. You saw what one ship can do. Imagine a fleet. The chamber erupted into argument. Some shouted for diplomacy, others demanded preparation for war. Thalon raised his hand. Enough, we will send a message. Humanity will be invited to stand before the Council itself. There we will decide their fate. Back in Earth's orbit, Hale received the summons hours later. He read it in silence. They want a meeting, he said. At least they are talking, Mara asked. Do we go, sir? He thought for a moment. Yes, but we go on our terms. He turned toward the main viewport. The stars stretched endlessly before them. Prepare the Titan for deep space travel. We will meet the Council, but they will not meet us as victims. They will meet us as equals. Inside Alarian's Grace, Rana received the same message. She looked out at the blue world below, feeling the weight of what had begun. Kale, she said, ready the crew. We are going to the core. The galaxy is about to learn what kind of strength lives on Earth. The Titan-class warship adjusted its trajectory, engines igniting with controlled brilliance. The Earth Defense Fleet followed in formation, each vessel gleaming like silver guardians. The Alarian's Grace joined them, serving as the single voice of the Council willing to listen. As they entered the jump corridor, space folded around them. The last image before the distortion swallowed them was Earth, quiet, strong and free. The galaxy would soon witness not just the power of a ship, but the spirit of an entire species that refused to kneel again. The Resolute Dawn and Alarian's Grace entered hyperspace side by side, leaving behind the quiet orbit of Earth. Their destination was the core system, the shining heart of the Galactic Council. The journey through folded space took only hours for ships of their power, but the silence between them felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. Commander Rana stood near the transparent viewport of her ship, watching the faint distortion trails of the human vessel. Its dark shape glided through hyperspace like a silent predator. Even here, beyond the reach of normal space, it radiated quiet authority. Kale approached her. "It still feels strange," he said softly, "to travel beside a ship that could erase fleets and yet its commander speaks of peace." Rana nodded. "Strange, yes, but perhaps this is the balance the galaxy needs." She turned her gaze toward the stars. The Council has ruled for centuries. Maybe it is time someone reminded them that peace cannot exist without strength. As the ships neared the core, communication channels lit up with orders and warnings. The Council had gathered every representative in the great chamber of Valerian. No visitor from Earth had ever stood there. On the resolute dawn, Commander Hale prepared for the meeting. His officers adjusted their formal uniforms, black and gray with the emblem of Earth's defense forces across the chest. Hale looked calm, but his mind was sharp. He knew the Council feared them, and fear could turn any discussion into danger. Mara, his second officer, stepped beside him. "Sir, are you sure it is wise to go alone into their chamber?" Hale gave a small nod. "Yes, fear feeds on distance. We show them our face, our truth, and let them see that humanity is not the monster they imagine." "Still, we will be monitoring every second," Mara said. "If they try anything, the Titan will respond." "I know," Hale replied. "But today we go to speak, not to fight." The ships exited hyperspace above Valerian. Before them spread a massive city world, wrapped in silver rings and floating platforms. Thousands of vessels moved in perfect order. At the planet's center rose the Council Spire, a tower of crystal and energy that reached from the surface into orbit. The sight was magnificent, but even that grandeur could not hide the tension. The presence of the Titan-class warship cast a shadow across the entire fleet. Every sensor was locked on it. Every admiral feared it. The docking permission came through. Valerian's Grace descended first, followed by a single shuttle from the Resolute Dawn. It carried Hale and 2 unarmed officers. The rest of the Titan's crew remained on standby. Inside the great chamber, thousands of delegates gathered in layered balconies, their voices echoing through the open air. Light poured through the crystal walls, bathing the hall in pale gold. At the center stood the High Speaker's throne. When the human shuttle arrived, the chamber fell silent. Every eye turned as the doors opened and Commander Hale stepped forward. His footsteps were slow and firm, each one echoing against the polished floor. His uniform caught the light and the emblem of Earth glimmered faintly. Rana was already standing near the center, waiting. When Hale reached her, she gave a respectful nod. "Welcome to the core, Commander Hale. I will stand beside you." He nodded back. "Thank you, Commander Rana. Let us hope this meeting ends with words, not weapons." The High Speaker rose. His tall frame and shining robes gave him the appearance of calm authority, but his eyes betrayed unease. "Commander Hale of Earth," he began, "you come before the Galactic Council. You bring with you a weapon capable of shaking worlds. Tell us why we should not see your presence as a threat to peace." Hale met his gaze without fear. "Because, High Speaker, peace cannot exist when it belongs to one side only. The Council preaches unity, but it rules through control. Humanity remembers what that control cost us." A murmur spread across the balconies. The High Speaker raised his hand. "You refer to the incident on Vega 9. That event is long past. It was an unfortunate decision taken in difficult times." "Unfortunate," Hale repeated. "That word does not comfort the dead. But we did not come for vengeance. We came because the truth must be spoken. Humanity rebuilt from nothing, and we learned that no law can protect those who cannot defend themselves." A delegate from the Varn species stood up. "And so you built a Titan? A weapon that could destroy planets. Is that your answer to peace?" Hale turned toward the voice. "We built it because we remember what helplessness feels like. The Resolute Dawn is not a weapon of conquest. It is a shield. Every plate, every circuit was forged with one purpose, to make sure no one can silence us again." The hall grew quieter. Rana stepped forward, her voice calm. "The Council came to Earth expecting weakness. They found strength. They came expecting fear. They found discipline. Humanity has changed, and we must change with them." Her words stirred unease among the ambassadors. Some looked thoughtful, others angry. Another delegate, this one from the steel-skinned Dran species, spoke sharply. "You defend them, Commander Rana. Have you forgotten your duty to the Council? Rana met his gaze. My duty is to truth, and the truth is simple. If we provoke Earth, we invite disaster, but if we listen, we may find an ally stronger than any we have known. The hall erupted in divided voices. Some shouted for dialogue, others demanded disarmament. Hale remained silent until the high speaker struck his staff against the floor. Enough, he said. The hall fell quiet once more. Commander Hale, what does Earth wish from the Council? Hale spoke clearly. We want acknowledgement. Admit what was done to Vega 9. Tell the truth to every world under your rule, and promise that no species will ever face erasure again. The high speaker hesitated. That is a heavy demand. Such an admission would cause unrest. Unrest, Hale said, is better than silence built on lies. For a moment, the high speaker said nothing. Then he turned to his counselors, speaking in low tones. After several minutes, he looked back at Hale. We will consider your request, but understand this. The Council cannot tolerate independent militaries of such scale. The Titan-class ship must be registered under our supervision. The room tensed instantly. Hale's voice turned cold. No, High Speaker. Earth does not answer to your fleets. We guard our own. You risk war. Thalen warned. Hale's expression did not change. Then perhaps war is what keeps peace honest. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Guards stepped forward, but Rana raised her hand. Stop, he has spoken truth. He has not threatened us. Thalan's voice hardened. Enough, Commander Rana. You forget your place. She met his gaze without flinching. I remember it better than most. My place is beside peace, not beneath fear. For a moment, even the high speaker was silent. The chamber filled with tension that felt almost alive. Then from outside, a sudden alarm blared. The sound was deep and metallic, shaking the hall. An officer rushed in. High Speaker, unidentified energy surge detected above orbit. It matches the Titan's signature. Rana turned sharply toward Hale, but he shook his head. It is not us. We are holding position. The chamber's screens lit up, showing the orbiting Titan surrounded by Council warships. One of the Council captains had tried to scan the Titan's core directly, triggering its automatic defense field. The field expanded in a burst of light, sending shock waves through nearby ships but causing no damage. Still, panic spread quickly. To the Council fleets, the flare looked like an attack. Weapons began to arm themselves across the orbital grid. Thalan shouted, Stop them! Stand down! But it was too late. Hale pressed his wrist communicator. Mara, this is Hale. Do not fire under any condition. Keep the shields up and maintain control. Mara's voice came back steady. Understood, Commander. The defense field is stable. No weapons active. Rana turned toward the high speaker. You see, they are not firing. This is a mistake. Thalan's face was pale. Then stop it before fear makes it worse, and she nodded quickly. Let me go. I will speak to their commander. Hale stepped beside her. You will not go alone. Moments later, both of them were aboard a transport heading for orbit. As they rose through the atmosphere, the glow of the resolute dawn filled their view. Around it, Council ships hovered uncertainly, their weapons half-charged. Rana's voice was calm but urgent. If one ship fires by mistake, we will all burn. Hale replied, Then let us make sure none do. The shuttle docked at the Titan's hangar bay. As they entered, Rana saw rows of human soldiers and engineers working in perfect order. No panic, no aggression. The air felt calm despite the danger outside. Hale led her to the command bridge. Status? Mara saluted. Shield stable, all weapons locked down. Council ships holding fire. Rana looked at the massive display screens showing the orbit. They think you are preparing an attack. Hale shook his head. Then we will show them the truth again. The council chamber was silent after the last incident. The air on Alarion felt heavy, thick with tension and quiet fear. News of the Titan's power had spread across every world. Entire colonies whispered about the humans who had survived extinction and returned with strength that even the council could not match. High Speaker Thalan walked through the long marble corridor of the spire, surrounded by his advisors. They spoke quickly, their voices nervous. High Speaker, the frontier worlds are demanding independence. Several protectorates have sent messages asking for Earth's protection. If we do nothing, the council will collapse, Thalan stopped. Then we will not do nothing. We will call the Assembly of Worlds. Earth must appear before us one last time. Their answer will decide the future of this galaxy. The message was sent to Commander Hale aboard the Resolute Dawn. It was not a request. It was a summons. Inside the Titan, Hale read the transmission in silence. The light from the planet glowed through the viewport, reflecting on his calm face. Mara waited beside him. "They want you to come alone again, sir." Hale placed the datapad on the console. "They want a show. The Council needs to prove they still hold power." "Do you think it is a trap?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "It does not matter. The truth cannot be trapped." He turned to the communication officer. "Tell Commander Rana we will attend together." The Assembly of Worlds, the great chamber of the Council, had never been so full. Delegates from hundreds of systems filled the balconies, their colors and uniforms forming a sea of light and shadow. The air was alive with whispers. At the center stood 3 platforms, one for the Council leaders, one for the representatives of the Allied worlds, and one for Earth. When Commander Hale entered with Commander Rana, every sound faded. The human walked with steady steps, his presence quiet but commanding. The symbol of Earth gleamed on his chest, and his calm eyes met every gaze that tried to judge him. High Speaker Thalon rose from his seat. "Commander Hale of Earth, you stand before the united species of this galaxy. The Council recognizes your people's survival and your strength, but your actions have caused fear among our worlds. You must now choose. Will Earth join the Council under its laws, or will you stand apart and risk eternal isolation?" The words echoed through the chamber. Rana stood silently beside him, watching closely. Hale waited a moment before speaking. "You ask if Earth will join you. But before we answer, you must first ask yourselves what kind of council we would be joining." Murmurs swept the room. Hale's voice carried clearly across the hall. 50 years ago, your laws erased our colony at Vega 9. You called it containment. We called it extermination. You buried the truth because you feared what we might become. Yet here we stand, not as conquerors, but as survivors. We rebuilt from ruins while your fleets watched from the distance. And now, when we return with strength, you call it danger. He turned his eyes to the rows of ambassadors. You fear us because you see what you once were. Determined, unbroken, free. You have built peace through control, not through understanding. You speak of unity, but you mean obedience. Thalon's expression tightened. You accuse us, but you forget that our order has kept this galaxy safe for centuries. Without the Council, there would be chaos. Hale answered calmly. Safety without freedom is not peace. It is silence. His words struck like thunder. Several delegates rose to speak, but Thalon raised his hand. Then what do you offer instead, Commander Hale? A return to war? To division? Hale shook his head. We offer choice. Let every world decide its own path. Let peace be built by trust, not by fear. Humanity does not wish to rule this galaxy. We only wish to live without chains. Rana stepped forward then. High Speaker, I have seen their world. I have spoken to their people. They are not the threat we imagine. They could have destroyed your fleets above Earth. Instead, they chose restraint. If we answer their peace with force, we will prove that the Council has become what it once swore to fight. The hall fell quiet again. Even Thalon could not deny her words. From the back rows, a young delegate from a border world stood up. His voice was clear and brave. Our colonies have lived in fear of the Council's taxes and fleets. If Earth truly offers freedom, then I say we follow them. Another voice joined. My world agrees. We will no longer be ruled through fear. The wave began to spread. More delegates rose, their voices overlapping. Some shouted for freedom, others for loyalty. The chamber turned into a storm of debate. Thalon struck the floor with his staff. Order, order! His voice rose in anger. This is treason. Hale did not move. He simply looked at him. No, High Speaker. This is truth. The chaos continued until Thalon shouted, Guards, remove the human. But before the soldiers could move, the walls of the chamber flickered with light. A holographic projection filled the entire space, the image of the Resolute Dawn orbiting above Ilarion. Its communication field was active, broadcasting live to every world in the Council's domain. Mara's voice came through, calm and strong. To all citizens of the Council, this message is for you. Humanity does not come to rule you. We come to remind you that freedom is your right. The truth of Vega 9 has been revealed. You must now decide if you wish to live in silence or stand with those who will never again be silenced. The image of the Titan glowed behind her words. The entire galaxy could see it. Thalon turned toward Hale, his voice shaking with anger. You broadcasted this to all systems. You defy our authority. Hale's reply was calm. Authority means nothing if it hides the truth. The guards froze. None dared approach him. Rana stepped closer to Thalon. If you punish them now, you will start the war you fear most. Listen to them or lose the galaxy. Thalon's hands trembled as he looked around the chamber. Half of the delegates were standing in support of Earth, the other half shouting against it. The unity he had protected for centuries was breaking apart before his eyes. He turned back to Hale. If Earth refuses to join, then the Council cannot protect you. Hale looked at him steadily. We have protected ourselves since the day you burned our first world. We need no protector. The High Speaker's voice grew softer. Then you will stand alone. Hale's answer came like a quiet storm. We never stand alone. Look to your skies. Outside, the heavens above Ilarion filled with light. One by one, ships emerged from hyperspace. Not human, but vessels from frontier worlds, refugee colonies, and independent fleets. They had come to stand beside the Titan. None of them were armed for war. They came as a symbol of unity without fear. Rana looked at the sight on the screen and whispered, "They came." Hale spoke so all could hear. "These are not soldiers. They are free worlds. They come because they believe peace should not belong to a council, but to everyone." The delegates stared in disbelief. The entire chamber stood frozen as the image of hundreds of ships filled the sky. Thalon sank slowly back into his seat. Perhaps the age of the council has ended. Hale's tone remained respectful. Perhaps it is only changing. The galaxy does not need rulers anymore. It needs guardians. He turned toward Rana and gave a small nod. Commander, tell your people they are welcome to visit Earth when they wish. We will not close our doors. Rana smiled faintly. I will tell them. And I will tell them that humanity kept its promise. Hale looked up toward the shining ceiling of the great chamber. Then it is done. He pressed his communicator. Mara, prepare for departure. Outside, the resolute dawn began to rise. Its engines glowed with controlled energy, silent yet powerful. The fleets of allied worlds followed in formation. They did not fire a single shot. They simply turned toward the stars, leaving Ilarion behind. The council watched as the ships disappeared into the distance, their light fading into the endless night. On the bridge of the Titan, Hale stood before the viewport, watching the core world shrink behind them. The stars stretched into lines as the jump engines activated. Mara approached quietly. Sir, where to next? Hale looked ahead. Home, then beyond. There are other worlds that still live in fear. We will show them there is another way. She nodded. The galaxy will remember today. Hale's voice was steady. Let them remember not our power, but our choice. The stars burst into brilliance as the resolute dawn jumped into hyperspace. Far away, on Ilarion, Commander Rana stood on the spire's balcony, watching the streaks of light vanish. The wind carried the echo of what she had witnessed. She whispered softly. They came to talk, and Earth answered with a Titan. Not to threaten, but to remind us that peace is earned, not granted. The galaxy was no longer the same. From that day forward, a new alliance began to rise, one built not on fear or control, but on the promise that every voice would be heard, and at its heart, beyond the reach of the Council's fading power, the humans stood as silent guardians between the stars, their Titan watching over all who sought freedom.